Well, hello one and all. It is 7:27 a.m. Central Standard Time according to the Tower of the Friendly Mercantile. It is 27 minutes past the hour on this fine Thursday, and I am coming to you live to tape via the nurturing biosphere of my little office. I've prepared a few thoughts for you today on the matter of music and all that implies for the edification of one and all. It is time to get your head right with the situation at hand, and that situation as of today is 5 albums that made me fall in love with music. Now, these are not the top selling or the best albums ever or whatever, critically acclaimed. They're just the ones that moved me at a given time. So, my son would tell me that I'm an old head when it comes to music, but I am open to discovering new music. So if there's something that you would like me to discover, you could, put a comment in or send me a message, or let's get into it. 5 albums that made me fall in love with music. How should we do this before we get into it? Let's not go too far too quickly here. I'm not going to do these in chronological order of release. I'm not going to do them alphabetically. I'm not going to do them numerically by their assigned universal product code. No, I will be taking a page from the fine film High Fidelity, and I will do these autobiographically. So, with that said, let's jump into number 1, which for me is Toys in the Attic by Aerosmith. I must have been in around 11 or 12 when I discovered this one. I'm not sure how exactly I acquired this album, but this was a time when I had 2 records to my name. And it was the first one that we're talking about here, Toys in the Attic, and then the second one we'll get to in a second. But this is, it's a killer record, right? It's like critically acclaimed. It is all of those things that I said this list was not about. It's a great selling record. It was kind of their big hit, but it's not, this record for me wasn't about the songs necessarily. This one was more about the guitar interplay and the vibe overall. Like Aerosmith just feels like, and I guess they were like the reckless party band playing bars, and somehow kind of blew up as bands like that did in the 70s. I discovered this clearly sometime well after the release. The thing that always kind of sticks out to me about Aerosmith, it's certainly true on this album, is that all the credit kind of is about the Toxic Twins, Joe Perry and Steve and Tyler. I say Steve like I know him, but it's really Brad Whitford and Tom Hamilton that this album. I was like, I thought Joe Perry was playing all these killer guitar parts when I was first listening to it. And it wasn't until later I found out that Brad Whitford is the one he's playing all the hard stuff. Steve Perry is just busy being handsome and super talented in his own right. But Brad Whitford's parts were always the ones that kind of blew me away. Key tracks to check out on this album: Uncle Salty, which I believe is the last track. No, it's the second track. You See Me Crying is the last track. That's another one that you need to check out. And then I would be remiss not to mention the song Big 10-Inch Record, if for nothing else than the thinly veiled innuendo. So that's number 1, Aerosmith, Toys in the Attic. Number 2, they're kind of in the same vein, and as I'm thinking about these, there's a pretty clear lineage here, but the number 2 record for me was the other one in my vast collection of exactly 2 records that I had at this time, was Shake Your Moneymaker by the Black Crowes. Man, in this record, like, it was like this kind of bluesy, it was obviously rock, it was Southern like Leonard Skinner. It was soul. It was, you know, there had certain songs had this real gospel feel to them, and I think, you know, it just made me want to play music. It wanted me to like. The record just was inspiring to me. Like, oh, I've got to figure this out. And still to this day, like a bucket list thing for me will be to one day have just to play with a band that's like got 3 backup singers and a Hammond B3 player and all of this, all of that. Like, I mean, the whole thing was just, it was killer. Key tracks to check out. Not the obvious ones necessarily. The track Stare It Cold is one that's just got super funky groove to it, just straight ahead blues rock. And of course, Jealous Again, which that one's much more common. But yeah, Stare It Cold and Jealous Again are the two that really get me going on that record. So you're starting to see like a little bit of a trend develop here with the thing that I was drawn to, which was like this super bluesy rock guitar thing. Which brings me to my number 3 here, Appetite for Destruction. And if Toys in the Attic and Shake Your Moneymaker didn't make you want to play guitar, when I heard Appetite for Destruction, like that was just moved me in a whole different kind of way. It wasn't the same kind of bar band kind of thing that Aerosmith reminded me. It certainly wasn't the R&B blues rock, southern rock of the Black Crowes. These guys were just they were on a whole new thing, right? And I wasn't really into hair metal of the 80s. Like this stuff, it just didn't do anything for me. It's kind of like candy, right? It just didn't stick with you, like, or provide anything really memorable. I've come to appreciate it now for what it is, but at the time it was just, hair metal was very off-putting, and these guys kind of came out of LA at the time when all that stuff was big, and they kind of looked like hair metal, but man, you just would not know it by listening. Like, to me, they were just, it was so aggressive. It was kind of like punk rock, but they had these riffs like Aerosmith and these crazy soaring melodies and the guitar solos. Yeah, just a killer album all the way around. It was just very raw and but very well put together, right? Like everybody in the band like knew their parts. You didn't catch them playing over each other and things like that. Like everybody filled their spot kind of perfectly. You've probably heard everything on this record, so it's kind of tough to pick out some key tracks, but I'd say probably the 2 lesser played tracks. Check out Rocket Queen and Night Train. Both kind of blow me away. And Rocket Queen, like, you know, the Duff McKagan 80s, early 90s bass sound of the, you know, a little bit of chorus and playing with a pick was just, yeah, quintessential, right? Fun fact about this album, I have tried probably since around the age of discovering this record, and still cannot play the intro to Sweet Child of Mine without screwing it up in some kind of a way. Album number 4. This is the one that, like, I just didn't get it the first time I heard it. Was my best friend's older brother that introduced me to this. And it's glam rock, it's art rock, it's kind of punk, it was kind of funky. It had a little bit of that LA late 80s aesthetic, but it was like theatrical. Like it was something just kept bringing me back to it, and that is Jane's Addiction's Nothing Shocking. And like I just kept coming back to this record, and I don't know, I was trying to figure it out. Like the other 3 records, like I got right away. Like I love these, and these are perfect. But this one was kind of, I knew I loved it, but I didn't know why. and it took me a lot of listening to kind of figure out what the thing was with drawing me to this band. So I don't know, it must have been 13 or 14 around this time, and I had managed to scrape together enough money to buy a ticket for the first Lollapalooza featuring Jane's Addiction. I think I maybe paid like $40 or so for it in '91. But yeah, before the opportunity came to attend the aforementioned Lollapalooza, someone wanted a ticket and wanted to trade me a guitar for that ticket. And as much as I wanted to see the show, I couldn't pass up the opportunity to have like a guitar that I could learn to play some of the stuff on. So I made that happen. We made that swap. I missed that Lollapalooza, but I think I hit most of them after that, at least in the 90s when it was still like a traveling festival. Key tracks on this one for me, the song Ocean Size. Man, it sounds just like the title. It's just huge and vast and dense and perfect in every way. And then probably one of the most, maybe the second most popular song from the album is Mountain Song, second to Jane Says. But Mountain Song is like the song that no matter how old I get, you put that on, the heart rate's going up. And then the last one, this one's kind of, I don't know if I'm as passionate about this record as I am about the other four, but this one definitely took me off guard in much the same way Jane's Addiction did. And number 4 record is Gish by the Smashing Pumpkins. I think like most people of my age, we were introduced to music by a friend who was introduced by another friend. And this record kind of made me, or introduced me, I should say, into the quiet, loud, quiet formula of what would be, the majority of the music I loved in the 90s. These guitars were just huge and crushing and just the all fuzzed out, electro harmonics, big muff guitar sound. And then it would just get super quiet and like go into this psychedelic space. And that created these dynamics of just ebb and flow and, obviously wonderful to just listen to in a set of headphones, but in a live scenario, that loud, quiet, loud in the 90s just like whipped everybody into a frenzy. This is another record where it felt familiar because of the guitar work, but it felt brand new because it was so different than anything else I was listening to at the time. Tracks to check out here, not the title track, but the first track, I Am One, and then Rhinoceros to really get into that quiet, loud, quiet. Listen, that's my list. And if we know anything, it's that the internet loves lists because the internet loves telling you when you're wrong. So feel free to drop me a comment in and let me know what I got wrong, or tell me what I got right, or tell me about records that made you fall in love with music. Until next time, we'll see you.